Kia ora everybody and welcome back to Civilization 6. Let's jump straight in to the civs that I believe are the top 3 civs that you should play to win on almost any victory condition. Number 1. It's Russia. It has to be. Peter the Great. Let's talk about Peter. I'm going to run you through with all of these civs. I'm going to run you through what they do and then my analysis of why it matters. Peter the Great is arguably the best civ in the game, although I'm going to correct that later. Let's discuss. So, Peter, your natural ability as Peter is the Grand Embassy. You receive additional science and culture for trade routes with civilizations that are more advanced than you. Nice to have if you're focusing down on faith, which is probably what you might be doing, and maybe you're falling a little bit behind in science and culture. Also, a great benefit for harder difficulties. You'll get +1 per 3 technologies or civics. So, like I say, makes Peter well tailored towards harder difficulties by his very nature. The Cossack is Russia's unique unit. It's basically a stronger cavalry, and it can move after attacking if it has movement points left. It's a really nice to have fast unit, can't complain. Mother Russia, when you build a city with Russia, you get extra territory. It's like the Shoshone from Civ 5. Always good to have, particularly in the early game when you're trying to pump out cities and you need to land grab as much as you can. Russia naturally does that. Also, another nice to have, +1 faith and +1 production from Tundra. So Tundra is innately actually really more beneficial for you, and when you push through the game and you can start to build on actual snow tiles, you'll see even more benefits. It basically unlocks land for you that no one else is interested in. You can sort of, in a way, guarantee that you'll always be able to build a good city when you're playing with Russia, because the tundra doesn't scare you. But where Russia really shines down the bottom, there is the Lavra. So this is Russia's unique holy site. The Lavras, I just can't even begin. They're cheap to build, they're fast to build. You can build them basically right at the start of the game, right? Because the holy site is the first district that you can get. So you can get these Lavras online incredibly fast. I'm talking like turn 15-ish if you get lucky with your goody huts. If you find a natural wonder. You can start pumping them out. And then, get this, once you start accumulating so much faith, your first few cities can be getting like 40 or 50 faith per turn at this point, thanks to the adjacency bonuses, which are huge, again, because you favor Tundra, so on and so on. You can see the synergies forming within Peter's wonderful empire. And then you can start buying, because you've probably got the first religion. If you don't, you're playing it wrong. You've probably got the first religion. You can start buying settlers and builders with faith. And that lets you just sprawl out in this insane mess. And then, of course, the synergies come back around, because as you're sprawling out and using faith to build cities, extra territory upon cities is given to you, thanks to Mother Russia. I cannot stress enough how powerful Peter the Great is. He is truly, truly great. Now, let's move on to number 2. It's Hojo Tokimune. Let's discuss. Hojo is, I think, the most well-rounded civ in the game. Incredibly strong in all aspects, and you can kind of pick and choose your win condition. He's great at everything, maybe slightly less at diplomacy, but across the board, fantastic civ. So, when I'm talking nice to haves, I'm really talking about Divine Wind. So land units have extra strength when they're in land tiles adjacent to the coast. Naval units have extra strength also in shallow water, which tends to be near the coast. You build your encampment, your holy site, and your theatre square districts in half the time, always, just naturally, which is great. Really nice to have. Units aren't damaged by hurricanes, again, nice to have. And if you're at war with another civ, their units are really damaged by hurricanes within your territory. Again, nice to have. Meiji Restoration, all districts receive an additional standard adjacency bonus for being adjacent to one another. That's really strong. And again, it makes Hojo able to adapt to any victory condition, because all districts receive an additional standard adjacency bonus, right? Very strong. The Samurai, I don't have a lot to add on it. It replaces the Man-at-Arms since the latest update, of course, and it doesn't suffer damage when it's damaged. It doesn't suffer a combat penalty when it's damaged. So, again, nice to have. The Electronics Factory is very strong. It's the unique building for Japan. It provides +4 culture, and after you research electricity, and its production bonus, because of course it's inside of the industrial district, its production bonus is extended to all cities within 6 tiles. So it works the same way that the amenities district works, basically. It's not doubled if there's another electronics factory, so it doesn't quite stack like that, but a really strong thing to have. It means that you don't need every city to be a production city, because the rest of them can kind of steal from that bonus, if you will. I would recommend that you play as Hojo of Japan, basically to any player at any time. If you're not gunning down a specific victory, if you're kind of going in, you just want to play a solid game, play with Hojo. Play as Japan. Enough said. Let's move on to what I think is probably the spiciest pick. And actually, even though I do believe that Peter is the best Civ for me, I think that, especially since the latest patch, I think that Germany, friends, led by the wonderful Freddy himself, is actually maybe the best Civ in the game. Let's jump in to number 3. It's Frederick Barbarossa. So, why is Freddy the best? Let me tell you. Just for starters, he gets an additional military policy slot. An additional policy slot is so strong, especially in the early game when you're dealing with, 2, 3, 4. All of a sudden you have an extra one. Also, you're extra strong versus city-states. That's a nice to have. I would say that's a nice to have. Now, let's talk about Germany's incredible Hansa district next, because I need to describe it so you can start to understand how Germany is the most synergetic Civ in the game. And what I mean by that is every single part of Germany feeds into the rest, and you just build this incredibly powerful Civ very early on in the game. You get online fast with fast cities, thanks to this Hansa mainly. So, the Hansa. It is a district unique to Germany. It replaces the industrial district. You receive +2 production bonus for each adjacent commercial hub, aqueduct, canal, and dam. That's insane for starters. Your adjacency bonus on these Hansas is going to be absurd, easily over 10. +1 production for each adjacent resource, just going to throw more fuel on the production fire, and +1 production for every 2 adjacent district tiles. What I'm describing to you is the most productive city in the game. Not only can you get these Hansas online fast, but once you get them online, everything else is fast, right? It snowballs. Germany snowballs, and it snowballs fast. The free imperial cities, each city can build one more district than usual, exceeding the normal limit based on population, right? So normally your number of districts is limited by your population. And that still remains, but Germany gets +1 on top of that limit. So if you're limited to, say, 5 districts at 15 pop or whatever, now you can build 6. Incredibly strong when your Hansa is incredibly strong. You see where I'm going with this? You build your Hansa, your production becomes insane, you build more districts, you can build one more than everyone else. Your cities become incredibly strong and incredibly productive. The synergies for Freddy are outstanding. Also, since the latest patch, the quote-unquote final patch, Germany has slightly more of a river start bonus, a river start bias. Rivers are great for your commercial hubs in particular, but also just in general, they're fantastic, right? They're freshwater, productive tiles, adjacency bonuses. The list goes on and on and on. With that river start bias, it makes Germany even stronger because your districts are even stronger, your adjacency bonuses are even stronger. It lets you get online fast. You can see where I'm going. The only thing that I haven't covered is the U-boat. It's a modern era naval unit, replaces the submarine. It's cheaper. It can see extra far. It's extra strong when fighting in deep ocean. And it can reveal other submarines, which we're used to. It's a nice to have. Really, the take home for Germany is its Hansa. You want to get your Hansas online fast and then spam out the rest of your districts. Incredibly quick, incredibly powerful. I cannot stress enough. Frederick Barbarossa, especially since that river start bias has been tweaked a bit in the last update, I think is most certainly an S tier Civ, and maybe even better than Russia. Hey, that concludes my top 3 Civs in Civ 6. If you enjoyed it, I'd really appreciate it if you drop a like and subscribe. Subscribing to the channel, and also liking and commenting, but subscribing to the channel is one of the most powerful things you can do to help me. So, yeah, I really appreciate that. And also, we have memberships enabled on the channel now too, because I'm a YouTube partner. So if you'd like to support me, you can do that. Link in the description below. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. There's plenty more Civ 6 content, both videos and live content on YouTube, where that came from. So do stick around. And until then, I'll catch you next time.